It was a cool transition. I would say, so starting off with the first year CDL, finally start to actually scrim and be in a scrim. I'd never been in a scrim before.
Yeah.
Eye-opening experience, because the first 2 weeks, you think you know about COD, and then the first 2 weeks, you're like...
You start hearing slurs.
Okay. Well,
Welcome to another episode of Around the Bar. Today, we are talking with the coach or analyst of OpTic Texas, JPKrez. He is a very smart guy that has been involved in Call of Duty Esports for a very long time. We talk about his career, keeping up with stats, the early days when he was working for MLG. We talk about his life outside of Call of Duty, and he went to school to be a lawyer, and we talk about a bunch of different stuff. It's a really good episode if you're interested in getting involved in esports in any sort of way, especially the back end side of Call of Duty or esports in general, keeping up with stats and the intricacies of the game. If you guys do enjoy Around the Bar and you do enjoy the conversation, please check out the Patreon. We have extended episodes of the podcast over on the Patreon. We also have additional shows. We have advice shows, we have poker tournaments, and it's just a great community we're building over there. So please go check it out. All proceeds from the Patreon go directly back into the show. So it goes towards upgrading the set, or more importantly, bringing in more creators or more people to talk with on the show, getting flights and hotels and stuff like that. So please go check it out if you have the chance to. I really do think you guys are going to like this episode. So please enjoy this episode of Around the Bar with JPKrez. And we are drinking coffee.
yeah, it's pretty early in the morning. You didn't want me to get turned for scrim, so I respect that.
I didn't realize you guys started so damn early. I thought we were gonna I was telling Matt, I was like, maybe we start at 2, maybe we get done at like 4, and they'll have scrims after. And you were like, I gotta be ready at 12:30.
Yeah, 12:45. That's when we start ready.
That's insane. How many sets have you guys been having lately?
We usually do 2. I've always been on the idea that 3 is kind of a little overkill. It depends on the players, honestly. Like, some players, they can tolerate it. Some players, they just check out after the second, just mentally. I personally have never been on a team where it actually felt productive, the third set. Maybe like a third set search if you do like 2 respawn sets.
Okay.
But if like a third full set, that, like, I know everyone's just like, yo, they got to keep playing more and they're not doing well. There's a certain like drop off point. Like you just like plateau and then drop off because everyone's just fully checked out at that point.
People stop calming and fucking
it's, you know,
going through the motions. Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I come from the era where they didn't even watch VOD, so you guys are dealing with a whole different beast.
No, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I remember the Dynasty team before Black Ops 3 champs. They were all sitting in a room together. They were all sitting in the scuff house in a room, and they were all going over VOD, all 4 of them. And I remember thinking, like, holy shit, I've never seen this. And that was 3 years into the Dynasty, or 2 years into the Dynasty. So, like, yeah, they didn't watch VOD. And I remember asking Big Timer, like, did you ever watch VODs, like, back then? And he won a lot. He was like, no.
It's crazy to think about. Like, it's so much more advanced.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the talent is, like, you could see the talent differentials between, like, back in the day and nowadays. But just I guess all the money that's being put in, all the effort, there's more advancements and everything. Yeah. Everyone's kind of figuring out like more efficient ways to play. Like back in Black Ops 2, it was just like, oh, you're the anchor. You're going to be the one rotating. Like you're the OBJ guy, right?
Miss those days.
You're the OBJ guy. You get in the hill. But it's like, people realize after like few years after that, it's like, okay, if we actually want to be an efficient team, like there's no way that we could just rely on one guy to be doing something like
that. Coming from a coach's perspective, do you think if, say there's a different alternate reality, and we kind of like we were just talking about Smash off camera, kind of like how Smash did, we never stopped playing Black Ops 2. Like we never stopped.
It would be so much different.
You think so?
I think so. I think people would finally get out of that route of like, oh, there's that specific role thing. But the fact is, like, I think the big thing with that game was the perks. I think the perks allowed for specific role type things, like running marathon, lightweight or whatever in other games. And I don't know. To me, anything is just going to evolve meta-wise. Like you see that in CS, you see that in every other esport. Even though it's not really changing, there's different strats that you cook up. There's always advancements. That's just with more people like just thinking about the game and figuring it out. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would love it. That's still my favorite COD to watch.
Really?
Yeah, that was like the first like full season I got to watch. I started watching, I would say mid MW3, just like S&D tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah, I bet you we started watching at the same time. Like I would watch like GB montages and like maybe like every once in a while Stainville would just throw up a gameplay in MW2 and I'd watch that, but I didn't watch like the live stream like. And then like in Black Ops 1, I like tuned in a little bit because I heard that OpTic had a team and I was like always a fan of like the OpTic sniping team and stuff. So I was like, oh, they have a team, but I hated watching Black Ops 1.
Yeah. So I was familiar with the teams from just watching like Machinima stuff, like X's videos and other Machinima stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But the thing that first got me into the players and the personalities was, you probably don't remember this, but this is MW3, it was like a creator tournament. Basically, kind of like what you were putting on, but with Aviator, he was the one who organized it, but it was with like Jericho, Syndicate, all these other like Gold Glove, all these other YouTube guys. That's who I was watching back in the day, like during that time.
Right, yeah.
Those guys and like the Moab guys, like I don't know if you remember like Incredible Orb and TBNR Frags.
Yeah.
I think I was watching some of their streams, but that YouTube, it was like a creator classic tourney, but this is where you got, you know, the Rambos, the nade shots, the scumps that were teamed up with these people. So I was like, I guess one of those.
That is fire.
That's one of those situations where it's like I'm proving everyone's point that sometimes that crossover actually works.
That's fucking
And then
sick.
I remember the first like competitive thing I watched was, and it wasn't even competitive, was Gamescom, the BO2 release. It was like a 3v3 and all these teams sent out 3v3 players or 3v3 teams, and they played like multi-team team deathmatch and stuff. Like it was just a fun tournament.
Yeah.
If you look it up, you could 100% see it. Like Merc was there, Rambo,
Gamescom,
Shane,
Black Ops 2 release.
Yeah, Gamescom, Black Ops 2 release. It was literally just the release of multiplayer and what they were going to be bringing to BO2.
Okay.
But they had invited the players to play this mini tournament.
Bro, I do not remember this at all. And I remember the Ghost release. I remember the MW3. Well, the MW3 release is a little different because that's COD XP.
But that was my first introduction to like competitive. And then I was like, okay, this is cool. I started watching like Nade Shot, like GB. Yeah, the first one.
Gamescom.
Hash was casting it. But I was watching like Nade Shot, like GB tournament streams. And then I started following the actual players and teams and started so they start out with this is the like actual trailer,
right? Yeah,
and then you'll eventually see that they start playing matches with I think Envy was there, I don't know, I think OpTic was there as well. There was a Epsilon team, I'm pretty sure, but you'll see all of these players and like just their young selves. It's crazy to think about.
That is nuts, bro. Okay. Yeah, look at that lobby.
Damon's actually there. Wow.
Damon, Merc, Big Timer, Rambo.
It was just like a fun. They're just inviting the player out, but this is the first competitive anything. Is obviously
6v6.
You're playing TDM. They're playing
right.
You know, the 3v3 mode, or sorry, the multi-team.
Multi-team, right. Every
that was
year
the first.
COD,
that was the first time I saw all of the players at once in like one full tournament.
That's fire. I'll have to go back and watch that. But
yeah, since then I just completely fell in love with it. Started watching all the tournaments.
So yeah, let's go all the way back. So first of all, outside of the game, who are you? Where did you come from? How'd you grow up?
Yeah.
And how'd you get into competitive COD or Call of Duty? I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, I grew up in New York, Westchester, about 25 minutes from the city. Been gaming since I could remember, like obviously the Pokemons back in the day.
Okay, yeah.
Started moving to console, Smash, just like 6 years old, 5 years old, no idea what I'm doing, but I'm playing Roy and I'm liking it because it's a cool character.
Yeah. He's got the fire sword.
Yeah, just gaming since like the first COD I ever played was the COD 3 campaign at my friend's or my cousin's house, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
It was. I'm pretty sure it was on the Wii as well, which is
the
insane.
Wii.
But it was just the campaign. The first multiplayer one I bought was, well, didn't buy. It was a Christmas gift. When I got my 360, I got Halo 3, COD 4.
Okay.
The Ultimate Duo.
Yeah.
That's what that was my childhood. That was where I grew up.
There goes thousands of hours right
there.
Literally
Yeah, thousands of hours. My cousin showed me COD 4. Instantly fell in love with it because I was playing just like Halo public matches with my friends, and then figured out what Call of Duty was.
Yeah.
Started just grinding it.
Hell yeah.
Probably had a 0.7 when I was 11 years old playing COD 4, but still was having tons of fun.
Yeah.
Every year since, just playing COD, watching COD. Didn't actually figure out what competitive was until what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I was watching just the old YouTubers back in BO1, MW2,
right?
Whichever came first. I guess MW2.
Yeah.
Started figuring out what YouTube was in terms of gaming, gameplay, commentaries.
You found like
that.
YouTube and competitive like relatively at the same time, or YouTube first?
I knew what YouTube was, but I wasn't binging it like I would during that time. So that's when I fully realized, like, okay, gaming commentaries on YouTube. This is
they're addicting.
This is so addicting. Like, this is so addicting. Like, the best thing for me was like, it is really weird, but sometimes I like watching more than playing. I even back in the day when I was playing Smash with like 2 or 3 of my friends at his his house, because he had the GameCube before me, and I would just watch first because I was just like interested in how they would play or whatever. So I guess I turned that into
a career.
But it's funny to think about because I thought once the addition of like Twitch, I thought that was the best thing ever. I was like, we're live streaming someone playing a video game, and I could just be there interacting with them. It was like the coolest thing for me. But
yeah, that's fire.
That was just gaming throughout all my childhood.
Yeah,
really, like,
that's awesome.
But fell in love with Call of Duty.
So when you fall in love with competitive COD, are you trying to make it a career? Or you're just trying to chill and play some GBs and stuff? Or
just chill. I loved watching it. I got into GBs toward the end of BO2. That was like the first GBs I played.
Yeah.
But I was never really like trying to compete or anything. I liked competing in those GBs and stuff with my friends, but I wasn't like trying to like go hard with it.
So you never like played at tournaments or anything?
No, never was a tournament player. Never was like hardcore trying to like super improve with the team or anything. But I just loved the idea of it. And then once Ghost came out, that's when I started like getting more active in the community with doing like stat stuff and other stuff like that, because it just wasn't being done before. So I felt like there was a Reddit post by Puckett basically asking for volunteers, and I was like, I'm watching him anyway. Might as well start helping out with
that's how it started with stats?
Yeah. So literally a Reddit post that Puckett had made. Puckett's, I guess, my codfather.
Does he know that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I ended up working with him in MLG later on. But I'll go through that too. So start volunteering. It was like 10 of us in a Skype call, just chilling, watching the stuff, taking screenshots whenever we could, and entering the data. But it was a cool group experience of people all over the world. Yeah. And you never really get that like nowadays, other than I guess if you're working remote or something.
Right. Yeah.
But dude, we would have like some people in US, someone was from like obviously a lot of EU guys. Right. Yeah. Someone from South America. It was just grouped together, and we're just like
trying to figure out stats.
We just love COD, and we're just in this Skype call together.
That is crazy. What was what did you call you guys' group? Or like where did you do stats for MLG or?
Yeah, it was like the COD stat stuff. So COD stats for MLG. But I got super lucky because I was literally 25 minutes from the city, so I was a train ride and a 10-minute walk to the MLG headquarters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the winter of my freshman year of college, so 2014 winter, I go in thinking that I'm just like touring the office because I knew who Puckett was, and I was like, oh, can I like check out the office? And he was like, first day, he was like, yeah, welcome our new intern. And it was me and Max. But I was like, intern? I was like thinking to myself, thank God I didn't plan something during this winter because I guess I'll be here for the next
You didn't even
couple
apply or
weeks.
anything?
No, because
You just...
I was already doing work like for them remotely with all the stat stuff.
Right.
But they were doing like the esports report at that point,
Yeah.
and I was just helping out writing any stories or running anything that I could contribute.
Okay, so you go
storyline, stat stuff.
You go from stats to a writer, like an actual writer, or just like
no, just like writing kind of scripts, so writing notes and stuff. I would say it's more just using the stats abilities and transferring it over to something that actually could be used for something.
Right.
So made a lot of connections there. Obviously,
That's
Puckett, you know, Ben, Mr. X, like all of them, worked with them for those few weeks, and then I had to go back to college because it was just literally the winter break that I was able to work for them.
Insane.
So like remotely, just doing stuff every now and then when I could, and then once that summer came out, I went back there, and honestly, from then on, I was just basically having this side gig of going to tournaments, working on the back end production side.
Okay.
So basically any stats that you saw from like 2015 to the end of CWL 2019,
right? Any
graphic or anything like just went through me at that point.
Holy shit!
So,
are you still an intern at this time for 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an intern on and off because it was literally freshman year of college, so it was like
that's
all
dude,
right. This is my side gig for college,
bro,
I guess.
That's I don't know how you did that.
I'm just glad I was able to make it work because I would basically force no classes on Friday by scheduling it other days or trying to figure out classes that weren't on Fridays. So I would fly out Thursday night, go Friday to Sunday, fly out, maybe miss like a class on Monday. Don't tell anyone about that. But
dude, for me, I was in college when I started like my little competitive COD YouTube channel, and then that got picked up. I got picked up and was like part of a podcast called The Sticks.
I didn't remember that with Kingdom Soldier.
Kingdom Soldier, yeah. That was in my freshman year of college. Then sophomore year of college, I start doing side stuff for like UMG, and then to G Fuel, and then Hex started his own thing called OpTic Intel.
Yeah,
and I'm doing that. And bro, as soon as the OpTic Intel thing hit, I wasn't making any money or anything off of it. I just quit school. Complete because I would go to school and I would go to class and I wouldn't listen to a word the professor said. Like I would on my notebooks,
thinking about anything that you could be doing for the org.
Yeah,
right?
for like what's the next like video that I could be making, or what's the next like story that people want to hear about COD? How can I bring in Halo as well? How can I bring in other esports into the OpTic Intel thing? Dude, it consumed my brain.
Yeah.
To the point where like I was writing a paper at one point and I'm like, I'm making these videos, and this is how arrogant my mind was back then. But like, I'm making these videos that like 1,000 people are seeing, which in my head was like crazy at that point. And I'm like, I'm writing a paper right now that one person's going to see. And I couldn't shake it. Yeah. I was like, they're saying this is more important than that, but more people are seeing that.
I hear you.
And I just couldn't, I couldn't ever. So the fact that you did that for 4 years is wild.
Yeah. I mean, super supportive of my parents. They've supported me throughout the, like after with this whole transition of like after college of not even pursuing what I was probably going to be pursuing, but going into this COD stuff. But I don't know if they would have been cool with me dropping out midway, but
I remember, the conversation with my mom was interesting. It was very interesting. Well, kind of. She kind of saw it. By the time I actually did drop out, she kind of saw where it was going because I was getting like flights paid and stuff. So like,
it's the common thing of like, what are you doing? Like, why are people paying you to do this?
I remember, like a friend came over and one of my mom's friends came over to her house while I was there visiting, and she said, "Yeah, he's trying to be a pro gamer," and I was like, "Mom, I'm not trying to be a," and I was like. It doesn't. I can't explain it all.
Who are these people? Who are these people?
I can't explain it all right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're in college, did you compartmentalize pretty well, or when you're in classes, are you just thinking about stats and you're thinking about?
I was thinking about other stuff.
Yeah.
I was thinking about just COD stuff mostly. Yeah. But I was still like pretty good student, like trying to just get through it.
Right. Yeah.
Fully be attentive because I didn't know that something like what I was going to end up doing was going to be an opportunity. Like I just always thought it as the stats thing was a cool side gig.
Okay.
But I was still going to go on and most likely go to law school. Like I was literally going to go to law school before I got a offer first year CDL.
So what did you graduate?
Yeah.
What did you graduate in? Or what was your
labor relations?
What does that mean?
It's like it's a very niche thing, but it's like employee relationship.
Okay.
A lot of union talk, a lot of HR talk. A lot of people go into like employment law or business school.
Right.
It's like a kind of like a pre-business, pre-law like merger type thing.
Oh, okay. So is it like most of the time people have a master's degree or go farther?
Yeah, most of the time they'll business or law or
okay.
It's more of a more generalized, not very specialized thing. But,
so were you interning there like through school are you living two lives at this point?
No.
Lawyer COD life?
No, definitely not. All of the work that I was doing was either MLG or
really
it was just MLG basically.
Yeah.
Because it was still a good side gig. Like, bro, you'd go out for a weekend, get paid for it.
Right.
And then I go back to classes. I was like
I just had
I could keep doing this. And then during the summers, it was just like, okay, there's like 4 tournaments or something like that I'm going to be keeping my eye on. Plus there was a bunch of just regular season matches that I was still basically working remote for.
Yeah.
And I was just always like pursuing that on the side. I didn't think it would be
right. Yeah.
That, that much of a stepping stone for what I end up doing.
Yeah.
But it was, a blessing in disguise at that point.
I remember I when I first started working on stuff, I remember my ex-girlfriend, she said to me, like, do you think you're gonna be playing video games your whole life? And I was like, fucking deep question.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. Like like as soon as I get out of college, like I'm probably done with it. Like it's just it's like a thing I did in my childhood.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're going to be playing video games your whole life. And I never forgot that because I'm
a new generation. Like
holy
we're
shit,
always thinking like,
here I am, 30.
By 30, no one's playing it. By 50, like
I know.
that's, you know what I mean? But
bro,
it's definitely not going to be.
People don't know that nowadays. Like kids, if you're a high schooler or you're in college now, you probably grew like you were in high school during the cool times where like, you're playing, you go home and you talk about Fortnite with the boys at school.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing that shit when I was in high school. You hid the fact that you played video games. Dude, it's
but
so
the thing is
different.
like, I guess if you talk to anyone from your high school recently, they might be like, oh, that's a cool thing. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Like that's, I heard about esports. Like there's always like in the news.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Or fucking Uber drivers or
mm-hmm.
My kid plays Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like millions of dollars? No way for playing video games.
Exactly. Like, oh, I should hop on and do it. I'm like, yeah, okay, Carl. Yeah, sure. You can just hop on and be better than Scump, for sure.
The coolest conversation.
What in all your years of just doing stats, was there ever one like statistic that still stands out in your mind, like from a specific tournament or anything?
The formal IW champs.
Yeah.
What was it, the 1.44 or some shit? And like just unreal.
Unbelievable.
Like just absolute insane number.
Yeah. That is insane.
That's probably the most absurd one. I'm sure if you go back, like I could figure out more, but that's the one that always just jumps out to me.
Stands out. Yeah, I think there's I wonder when you're part of the first wave of stats ever, right?
Yeah, basically.
And that's in Ghost.
Start of Ghosts.
I wonder what stats would have been like in Black Ops 2 or in like the end of Modern Warfare 3.
Actually, me and another guy during Ghosts went back through the COD Champs VODs of BO2 and did those. And I believe we did some of the teams from Anaheim as well.
Okay.
And those were cool. But the thing is, with the CODcaster, they didn't always bring up the scoreboard. So for most like respawn maps, they would bring up the scoreboard at the end or it would pop at the end. But since it wasn't on the screen the entire time, you couldn't always rely on it. But at least like Ghosts onwards, it was always on the screen, so you never really had a problem with it.
Dude, the Black Ops 2 CODcaster. I mean, thank God they incorporated CODcaster, but it is horrendous.
You go back and watch, and you see it taking up like a third of the screen, and you're thinking like, how did we watch this back in the day?
When we did the throwback, I've thrown a fucking 100 Black Ops 2 throwback tournaments, and we were working with Corey Dunn to produce it. We basically like like messed with it a little bit. So like there's two podcasters going at once and they're all
and you would just overlay it, right?
Yeah,
I thought that was genius. I was
Yeah.
like, think about if we had that capability back in the day, 100% you would be doing that.
Yeah, but like we had never had Codcaster ever.
Yeah, literally. And
yeah.
No, exactly. You just didn't have it. You just didn't know like. And I was just watching some of Aches' live streams. You've been going back through some of
I want to watch those.
The past CODs. And I just realized they didn't have numbers for the players on the Codcaster. So when you were like looking at the minimap, you wouldn't know who was who.
Holy shit, I didn't even know that.
I didn't even know that either. I just realized that now too. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how would the casters know who to switch to? So they're literally just going to who's on a streak? Oh, that guy's on a 6 streak.
And this is when the this is at the time where the casters were driving.
Yeah.
So one of the casters, usually the color commentator, has a controller in his hand.
Yeah.
So Puckett's screaming, or Fwiz is screaming, and Puckett's literally driving the Codcaster at the same time, or whoever is up there. I think that's extremely interesting.
I mean, they didn't start not driving till what, 8W maybe? I feel like they were driving for a little bit.
Or, you might be right. I have no clue.
I actually have a really funny story of my first events was 2015 champs.
Okay.
So it was me and a couple of other SAT guys got invited by MLG to like help out, just do stats, but do like a lot of other just handy work around that was needed. And one of them was actually observing like the Echo stream or the Delta stream, like one of the last streams.
Right. Yeah.
He's in the middle of it, kicks the Xbox, and he's the host of this. It just shuts down. It was like a random
oh my god,
like no one cared match, but it had to get restarted because he just like kicked the Xbox.
Who kicked it?
It was one of my friends who was like doing the stat stuff with me, but he was the observer for like the Echo stream or whatever. Kicks the Xbox, the map goes dark.
Oh my god!
So
there's not even. Are there even commentators on that?
Probably not.
Yeah.
It was just one of those like group play matches no one really cared about.
Right. But. Yeah. It is. It's what I think. In one of the last, I think it might be the last Dynasty match ever. They played on like an Echo stream because they lost so early in the World War II. And I remember in Vision, like I'm editing it and I have nothing to work with because there's no commentators. So I'm just like popping up like little slow-mo of them getting fucking railed by Elevate. And it's wild that, dude, an Echo stream that doesn't exist
and it came
anymore.
down to like the last, because they had to win one map or something, right? Because I remember I was in the back room working with like the tiebreaker scenarios with. Do you ever remember Rami, who used to work at MLG? I don't know if you ever met him.
It rings a bell.
He was doing like league ops, and he like we would always be doing the tiebreaker scenarios together during that time, and we were thinking to ourselves like, "Good, Brandon." We were thinking to ourselves like, what if they don't win a map here? Because that was the only scenario where they don't. You're talking about
World
War II champs.
You're talking about World War II champs.
Oh,
that was with like Zen and them. I'm talking about
that's okay. Yeah. You're talking about Dynasty. Yeah, my bad.
I was talking about before. You're talking about the real Dynasty with Octane and Zen. Yeah.
I was just thinking of World War II as when that was the last game.
No, that shit was crazy too. That was. I mean. Yeah, they had to win one map against EG in order to move on. Because I remember
we were all silent in the back room. We're like,
OpTic just got 3-0'd.
First off, we were just like 1-0. Okay, they'll win a map, right? 2-0.
Like, wait a second.
Oh.
Wait a second.
And then everyone like
Arden Forest,
and we're like, they're not going to the arena.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And then C9 went on to win it. We really got bracket fucked. But also
EG.
like, yeah, like sorry, EG. Yeah. That because Aches was on that team, right?
Yeah, you're thinking of H.
Yeah,
sure.
I was thinking it. Yeah, so that was, but yeah, the it's crazy that Echo streams and fucking Delta streams like that. People don't know about that shit anymore. Like I'm sure there's
like
still a lot of
go into a
people.
random Twitch Echo stream with 300 viewers before your OpTic's gonna play,
right?
And or you just see the number increasing as everyone realizes
or
they're
like
playing Echo.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I remember we lost whatever tournament it was where Damon 1v1 fastball.
Yeah, or I was like Atlanta. Or
something like that.
IW.
But that was the biggest grind I'd ever seen out of that team. They lose fucking Friday night or some crazy shit. Yeah. Like winners round 1. They start in losers 1, and then dog, I filmed. Okay, first of all, I know they're doing all the work, but me, let's talk about me. I filmed fucking 12 hours straight or some shit, and they just went on a terror. Like they just destroyed fucking everyone. But a lot of those losers round 1 matches are predetermined to be on the Echo stream.
Yeah.
So now you have the Alpha stream with fucking 5,000 viewers, Bravo stream with 1,000 viewers.
Someone just not even be casted. And it's like an OpTic match, you know?
Echo stream 20,000 viewers or some crazy shit. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? People don't know about that shit anymore.
No.
So, hey guys, I hope you were enjoying this episode. I just want to take this quick, brief moment to remind you guys about the Patreon page. All the support from the Patreon goes back into the show to cover travel for more guests and to just all around make the show a better product. Some things that we provide on the show is extended cuts, ad-free of the podcast. So if you want to watch the full podcast without me yapping in the middle, you can do that on the Patreon. Plus, there will be more conversations with the guests as well. Also, we have a show that we're going to produce weekly. It's myself and Matt Craig sitting down doing a little bit of advice, maybe with some guests as well. That's always going to be fun. There's also Discord access, as well as some like poker tournaments, some other really cool stuff that we have going on in the Patreon. But yeah, enough of me talking. Down in the description is the link to the Patreon, and I hope you get a chance to check it out. All right, back to the podcast. So when you go from stats to being like, I think I want to work with teams.
After BO4 Champs. So BO4 Champs was my favorite event ever. Like I thought that was like the best atmosphere.
Yeah.
It was the culmination of CWL. No one kind of knew what was happening after that.
Dude.
And then I was basically offered a spot with the New York team midway through that year, like April of that year or something like that. So I knew that it was coming. I still applied to law school just in case because I didn't know. Ended up deferring it for a year, but that just never.
You can always go back, man.
That's exactly what my parents said. That's exactly what I keep saying.
You've got
just
the piece of paper.
You know, if it just fully dies out, we have nothing. It'll always be there.
Where do you keep your diploma? Is it hung up somewhere?
No, it's just at home. Or something. Thing is, like the funny thing is, like all of the work that I did. I mean, I took a few like computer science courses, so that kind of helped me. But all the work, I just
did. You forget it already?
Some of it, but it's just not necessary for the stuff I do. So it's pretty funny. I will say though, it did do a really good job of a lot of like separate things that aren't. I don't know how to basically describe it, but working with people, personal, the emotional, like regulatory stuff of other people, how to work with people, how to get the best out of other people.
Yeah.
Those are like really tiny tidbits that aren't like the main focus of school or what I was going to major in for. Almost. But it's just like, really good life lessons that most likely helped me in the stuff that I was doing. Cause I've always said this, like coaching is 80% personal relationship stuff and dealing with people, you know?
Was that a tough transition?
It was a cool transition. I would say, so starting off with the first year CDL, finally start to actually scrim and be in a scrim. And I'd never been in a scrim before.
Yeah.
Eye-opening experience, because the first 2 weeks, you think you know about COD, and then the first 2 weeks, you're like...
You start hearing slurs.
Okay. Yeah, I guess some of that too. Some of the stuff cannot be repeated on stream for sure. But you realize like, okay, you don't know COD at like a high level.
Oh no.
Like I'm watching all those years and thinking like I know about COD and like what good plays and bad plays are. No.
So you got hired as a coach.
I was hired as like an analyst because and I still consider myself an analyst as well, like because I use number stuff and data and VOD stuff to help me with whatever I'm trying to, preach or work with the guys with. But, Revin took me under his wing because he was like the main coach for the team. And I learned a lot from him. Yeah. And, same with Lamar. And then same with like Clay later on, Krim, even, Ant, Ken later on in the years too. But I had like a pretty star-studded like group of people to learn from. And that was just super beneficial. Like super lucky to be able to work with those guys because again, you think you know about COD and then you spend all day thinking about it and seeing what bad plays are, what good plays are, how other people that have won a lot of championships look at the game.
Right.
And you kind of get a feel for like, okay, this is how it should be played, or this is how we think it should be played going into matches or going into whatever.
So before you get hired as a analyst, which is a a job with a salary and I'm assuming benefits and it's like a full job.
Yeah.
Were you still were you a full-time employee before that for MLG or for CWL?
I don't know if I was ever full-time. I was basically just working MLG events, doing remote stuff on the side that was kind of full-time, but it was basically just, I think I was technically a contractor.
Right, yeah.
But it did line up pretty well with my graduation. I think I graduated the year before I went full-time, so it was only 1 year that I was like not
doing contract
really
work
in the workforce, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Because
I imagine a reason I asked that is because I can imagine that first day of work is because I remember the first day it's different, but the first day I got I moved into the scuff house and stuff. Like I remember thinking like everything about my previous life is different now.
Yeah.
Like I have to figure out how to make this work. How do I fake it to act? In my head, I'm like I gotta fake it like I belong here. Like. And now you're in charge of professional gamers, like to an extent, you alongside of another coach. Do you hop right into it? Know where you, or did it take some time to like?
It took a lot of time. Yeah. Like to me, I wanted to take at least like the first 3 months of just observing.
Oh, okay.
Because I knew like I didn't know shit about COD.
Right.
As soon as those first 2 weeks happened, I was like, okay, I don't know shit. So I gotta learn from everything. So I don't want to say I was completely mute. But I wasn't going to give my opinions on anything yet. I needed to learn everything that I wanted to before I could even input anything. And a lot of the early work was just observing, seeing like, what was good, what was bad. Because I have a lot of data, but if you say someone has a KD of X, that doesn't help anything.
Right.
A lot of my stuff is dealing with team stats. I don't care about the KDs of my player. Unless it's like, oh, you have a 1.0 on every map, but a 0.7 on one map.
Yeah.
Like then there's like, okay, maybe there's some sort of issue there. But most of the time it's team-based stats because that's what I think is like the most efficient to actually working with players and with a team because you can kind of really target issues that you might have. A lot of times, kills can just spread around, trades can spread around, but if, a consistent way of actually looking at if we're holding a hill, are we rotating it to a hill? Are we breaking this hill?
Right.
Are we trading well on one hill and not another? Are we winning our breakoffs? A lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that. I think people saw me as like, okay, he's the numbers guy. He's like getting their KDs for the map and telling them, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Do you think even the players thought that?
Maybe. I don't know.
If you're mute and they're just listening to Revan and they're like, JP's doing something.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing.
I wouldn't say I was mute. I was mute in terms of like giving my opinion on stuff. I was still super vibey and like
good.
Always with them in the calls and stuff because I'm just that type of person.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like, okay, this is a passion project for me. I love COD. I love the aspect of like maybe impacting the team in a way that isn't inside the game.
Right.
And trying to figure out maybe what our weaknesses or strengths are versus maybe a team that we're going up's weakness or strengths are and how we can work with that, if we can work with that. And thinking about it in that type of way, it was always cool to me because I just always or at least from that point on, I always saw every play as kind of like a puzzle. Like, okay, we may have fucked up on the play, but what is the correct way we could have played that?
Right, yeah.
It's a puzzle in terms of like, okay, this person should have been here or this person could have picked up this. Were our timings off? Did one person take the route when it should have been the guy before them?
Yeah.
It's always like a really interesting puzzle in terms of that. So that's how I always looked at it after that.
That's cool.
But the way I always thought of it, at least during that moment of like just observing, was like, okay, I'm going to observe. This is a passion project for me. This is going to take some time to learn because I've never been in scrims before. From that point on, like later on in the year, I figured, okay, I kind of realized what's working for us, what's working for teams. Now I can kind of give my input on stuff that I'm seeing on my end data-wise. And I think from that point on, I've been sort of similar in that in terms of like, I'm obviously more communicative now with the players.
Right.
But giving my opinion on things that I see is a lot easier nowadays because after 5 years of spending every day in scrims, you kind of realize what's good and what's not.
Yeah.
Even if you never played. And that was always a big thing for me because again, I don't want to overstep boundaries because I never played before. So I never played pro. I never even played amateur.
Yeah.
But I watch a lot of VOD. So I figured, I was like, okay, this is working for teams. It's not working for us.
Okay.
There's a problem here. You know, I don't need to play to understand that. And I don't think people need to play and understand that. I think there's obviously a big gap in terms of like, there are some aspects of playing that I'll never understand completely.
Right.
Like mentality wise, like thought process wise. It's always easy to say something that's in hindsight. And that's why I try to keep that to a very minimal, because I realize like they don't have all the information on the map. I will, because I have Codcaster. But I figured that pretty quickly after the first year, like, okay, maybe a lot of the stuff I was doing was like, okay, I have all that information. They don't. Right. It's a lot easier when you have all that information.
See everything.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of times you'll see people breaking down the plays and stuff, but you know, they don't have that information a lot of times when they're playing.
You can literally see people through the map.
Yeah.
That's why. So, how many hours that first year, or even that first 6 months, do you put in? Not only do you watching your team's VODs, but how many hours do you put into watching like the other team's VOD? Like I think
a good amount.
Like,
I would say
Empire and FaZe probably they're crushing it.
Empire and FaZe for sure. I would say like I would put at least. So we would have our scrims. I'd put at least like another hour here and there.
Yeah.
Of like extra VOD time specifically for something, because you'd always look at, you know, what are we not doing well? So let's say it's Ramaza P2 or something, right?
Yeah.
So I'll watch back other teams on Ramaza P2.
Right.
Maybe the best teams on Ramaza P2, see what they're doing, see what we're not doing, kind of take it from there. And that's honestly what I've been doing. And that's how every team kind of works if they have someone dedicated to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's like at that point, you don't have to recreate the wheel every time.
Right.
You're just like, okay, this works. Maybe they're not doing it the most efficient way. Maybe we can improve on it. But right now, this is how they're doing it, and it's working for them. So maybe we should try it, you know? If it's going wrong for us at that moment.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think, where do you think on the potential, like, where do you think we're at coaching-wise, analyst-wise, for, like, what the maximum potential could be?
Oh, I don't think we've scratched the surface.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think, I mean, I can get a lot of data for myself, but right now, there's no API. There's no advanced data that we have. Dude, the gold standard of data was a team of actors and guys. They had a team that was outsourced to like Colorado.
Right.
Data science guys. They built out the API for like the private API that I would use when I was on at MLG.
Yeah.
And tracking the data. 2018, World War II, gold standard data. Since then,
all
downhill.
Wow.
So like all the data I get now is just stuff I'm capturing myself.
Right. Yeah.
From VODs that are either from our scrims or from matches. But it's a lot easier in other esports, like API wise, CSGO demo wise.
Yeah.
Everything is already tracked. The biggest thing for me is like, I know it's possible, and that's what kills me inside, because I've already experienced what's possible and what's not. It's not like you have to pay millions of dollars like these other sports to have these cameras around or these chips in people's jerseys or pads or whatever. It's literally all being tracked in the game already. Yeah. You just need that output to be able to do it. So
I think in I keep talking about Smash, but in Smash there's like a little program that somebody built, like from seemingly just the backbone of the game, the files of the game. They just built it. It's called Uncle Punch. I don't know why it's called that, but it's basically a training program. So like if you want to work on your ledge dashes, you click a program in this little game, and your character's hanging on the ledge. Yeah. And you try to dash onto the ledge as quickly as possible. And as soon as you make it on, in an instant you're back on the ledge. Yeah. So people just practice their ledge dashes over and over and over. Like a little
sandbox mode.
Yeah. And there's, I mean, that's just one of the hundreds of things that Uncle Punch like has.
Could you imagine how much cooler, like just practice, or not even cooler, but how much more beneficial some type of practice could be? I think even League has always had that same type of thing. Like, what if we could replay this team fight constantly over and over again?
Like where, and this is probably like where like a challengers team or like a practice squad would come into play. But like you set up your guys You set up a team of 4 of really, really good players on P4, and you're like, break the hill.
Keep trying to break.
Break the hill.
Keep trying to break.
Like we run this over and over. It's like soccer drills. It's literally like cross in, head it. Like you don't get really great at the very intricate parts of the game until you practice those intricate parts over and over and over and over again.
I think the cool thing about COD is to me, I think people, they downplay COD so much. I think respawn is so difficult. Like the idea of like every single decision you are making off spawn can affect completely how the change or how the map changes and how the map plays, and it can completely win you a game or completely lose you a game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other esports, there's a lot of, mental strength that you need to have and a lot of, quick thinking. I think respawn is downplayed so much.
I think
Halo,
so too.
COD, that the way you have to be off spawn is, it's mind blowing to me that people aren't talking about it more. That it's like such a hard thing to do decision making wise. Like you are making constant decisions after decisions after decisions based on info that's just constantly being updated.
I don't know. I don't understand it either. Cause like, it seems like, I think people, oh shit, you good?
Yeah, we're good. We're chilling.
I think people maybe compare it to the search and destroy aspect of COD to Valorant and CS.
Yeah.
And obviously those are, I think those shouldn't even be in the same ballpark. It's completely separate games. One's very tactical and the other one is a one life Call of Duty match. Like I think it's very different. But I mean, the amount of skill it takes.
I mean, the skill gap in respawn is just so much higher.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, respawn COD, like just hardpoint, is so difficult at the pro level that I don't think people understand that. I think people realize this, it's a switch shooter. If you have good skill, you're chilling. Bro, if you have just one player that's not constantly making the right play, you're never going to win championship. You
not
know
even
what I mean?
not even like gun skill related.
Yeah.
Like obviously all these guys can shoot. Obviously it's easier to shoot than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Which is another thing all in of itself. But that doesn't take away the fact that like if you rotate a centimeter too much, or if you push up, a little too much in the wrong spot, you've just lost your team the whole hill and there goes 60 points.
Exactly.
Like, or if you make the right play, if you make the hero play, you hit a flank when when they were least expecting it. Now you've taken down 3 yourself. Like like a 3-piece in a respawn match is, dude, the amount of dopamine you get from that. It's just,
honestly, like just situational wise, like it's so hard to explain because that one play where the guy gets a flank 3-piece can either be the game-winning play or based on the situation can completely lose you the game.
Yeah,
the exact same like route.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I always thought respawn, it's just, at least hardpoint is just so, it's so massive, the skill. Like it's so interesting to see decision making because I would 100% take someone with, the 75% gun skill, but 100% game sets over someone who's 100% gun skill, like 50% game sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I do think obviously you need kills. That's a given, but being in those right scenarios, right situations is just going to lead to those kills anyways.
Yeah.
But I think
I
always
right
thought that
you.
Just game sense wise, like you might see comments like, "Oh, this person's so stupid. Why would he do this?" And it's like you don't realize what he's thinking in the moment. Like there's so many different
hundreds
things.
of hours of practice have gone into that one play that you just are like, this is stupid.
Like why do you chow here, but you chow that 9 times out of 10, and it's a good play.
Exactly. Do you remember a specific moment? Let me just check to see how much. Okay, we're good. Do you remember a specific moment where you realized that you were like earning the players' respect?
I think when I started to show them the data that I was working on, and it kind of coincided with their thoughts on what was going wrong too.
Okay.
They realized like, we're sucking on those P2s, or we are not doing well on this map, and this is probably the reason why. I think it started to happen like obviously first year, but I knew I had to gain the respect from them in the first place before I started giving those opinions or anything, and that's still true with any like newer player that I start working with. But I think just showing them what I could do and how I was doing it, because there's no way you can argue with the VOD, because you can see, we're struggling with this. Other teams are doing it this way, and they're not struggling with it. Right. And it's not because they're better than us. Like, it's not because, not all the times, but it's not because they're winning more gunfights than us, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
They're just being put in these situations that are so much better and so much easier to get those kills,
Yeah. Yeah, of course. That's so what, who have been your your coaches to your analysts? Like, so
I was
with Revan.
And the last year I was with D-Real. It was his first year as well. But I always see the players as coaches to me as well too. Like Clay, Krim, obviously with Damon joining,
right?
And Ken, I see those as like people I really learned a lot from.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen what Damon was like as a player working with him.
Yeah.
That's what everyone asks me, is like, oh, who would I love to have coached? And I'm like, Damon, because I just want to see how he was as a player compared to like just being a coach. But I honestly, Seth too, like, dude, a lot of just veteran experience goes a long way in terms of like obviously knowing what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
So just learning from that and learning different ways about it. Oh, Ray as well. Sorry, I completely forgot about Ray. Yeah. But Ray I learned a lot from too, even though it was a short time. Learned a lot from Ray as well. But a lot of good minds, and again, super grateful for that, because that's just all building blocks for me. And every one of them I think was different in a specific way too. Obviously everyone's different, but the way that Clay wanted to play was a little bit different the way that Krim wanted to play, which was a little bit different the way Ray and Revan wanted to play. You know what I'm saying? So there were a lot of building blocks, and just getting all the different aspects in my head was really cool, and just helped me tremendously, honestly.
So when Ray's working with OpTic, and then he gets let go, is that the first time that you are you're the only coach?
Yeah, that was the first time.
How much honestly, how much pressure was on you then?
There was a lot of pressure, but I felt like I was still doing the same work that I was doing, maybe a little bit more, obviously, because I was alone at that point. But I was always sticking to my guns with what I was going to be doing anyways. It was interesting though, because it was just lone wolf at that point. And being in the dugouts alone was a little bit different.
After they lose a map, they look at you and you're like,
Yeah. No, it was really weird being alone, but I'm glad Damon ended up getting brought in as well, because I love how he thinks about the game as well.
Yeah.
I like to think about the game like how he does as well. But being alone, it actually did teach me a lot, just in terms of everything, because I couldn't rely on someone else to help me out with that stuff. And I think that's where the learning emotional stuff and learning personal relationship stuff and trying to utilize that to as much of my ability helped a lot, because again, most of the job is that, and being alone, I had to kind of rely on a lot of that with the work that I was doing.
Do you ever play, have you ever played, or is it common to play good cop, bad cop with your with your
I don't know.
coach?
It happens.
It seems like Damon would be bad cop.
Damon would definitely be bad cop for sure. I'm a little bit more vibey, and I'll be on the nicer side for sure. But I will get mad sometimes. There are sometimes you could tell them, or you could ask them. There's some times where you could see that I'm pretty mad about something, because we talked about it a lot. But it doesn't happen as much. It will happen, or it will spark an outrage if it does happen though.
That is so interesting. Well, do you remember the first time that you in between map 2 and 3, or it might even be map 1 and 2? I can't remember. I think you'll be able to tell me. Do you remember the first time you went on stage and put the headset on and talked to the team?
I did it. I think the first time I started doing it was Vanguard with New York. I was mainly just going out for the searches, because a lot of it would just be like, oh, here's tendencies and that the other team might have, and here's just kind of reassuring what we had in our playbook or whatever. Make sure you guys do this, make sure blah blah blah. Look out for this person here, all that type of stuff. From then on, it was weird, because we would always switch. At least with Damon, me and him always both talk right before the matches too, just what he wants to say and then what I want to say. Sometimes it's the same stuff, but it's important to keep relaying it to them because sometimes they'll instantly forget it as soon as the match starts. But yeah, I think obviously that's important. I think it would be cool to have something like timeouts in search if we had the ability to do that, so that we could help them adjust.
Yeah,
if we saw something. That's always the hardest part. Honestly, the stress of just being in the dugout and having your hands tied behind your back, you can't do anything while we just
watching it
hope
happen.
that everything we talked about just actually translates into the match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was common occurrence after that moment for me to go up every now and then.
Yeah.
And since working with these guys, we'll both go up and say what we need to say.
Yeah. That is fine. So are you a competitive person, or are you just like improving your team?
I would say both. I like the idea of improvement, and I like the idea of affecting in a good or like a beneficial way how we can play, strictly not just through gameplay, because that's like obviously we can't do that as coaches.
Yeah.
But I've always been like pretty competitive playing sports and stuff. I wouldn't say I'm like, super killer instinct, because that's just not my personality. I'm like, I want to win. Like, I'm not Crim 6, but I'm not fucking psycho. But sorry, Crim, but it's a good thing.
Yeah. So there's not like obviously if a team has our number, if Ultra has our number, and we go up against Ultra, you're thinking like I want to
100%. I mean, that's just part of the job. That's just it's just sports in general.
Right.
You want to win everything, and obviously,
do you want to be the best analyst? Do you want to be one of the best coaches, or are you just
I just want our team to be the best. I've always thought about that. Like, even when we won champs, I was like, it was a dream come true for me. It was cool, but seeing Brandon and AG get their first was like the shining moment for me, especially Brandon, who was working 7-8 years or whatever at that point, and always being cast as a guy like, oh, he's never going to win anything. Yeah,
being a top 5 AR for 8 years straight or something.
He doesn't know how to win or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was the more gratifying for me. I think probably even for Damon, because he realized like, the playing championships are a lot better, but the coaching ones open up a different element of your mind and being like, okay, we're just happy for them most likely.
Right. Yeah. That is so sick. I think I've always been kind of infatuated with coaching. I just think when I first started going to events, like, coaches used to be behind the players. They used to basically be a fifth call out. Yeah, that's all they were.
Screaming at the other team.
Right. Mr. Shout, Mr. X. How do you think you would have done in that element? Like if one pro-am, we just allowed the coaches to stand behind the players. Would you?
I think that would be done Damon's job. That would be Damon's job for sure. Because I've never calmed in a match. It would probably be a new experience for him. Like, what to say and what not to say, because it is an extra ear or an extra voice.
Right.
So you don't want to flood the comms completely, but there are still like important things for you to know. Definitely would be Damon's job.
Dude,
at that point, though. I'll be in the back for that one.
I think right now I've been talking to Kason a little bit, because he's got this pipe dream of doing a MLG event again in Anaheim.
That would be dope.
I mean, obviously, I wish him nothing but the best of luck. If anybody can fucking do it, it's him.
Yeah.
But I think with everything that happened with Esports World Cup, like, it kind of opens shit up now. Like, sure. if you make an exception here, exceptions are available at least. You just got to make them work.
I mean, the fact that we haven't been there since BO4 is crazy.
I know. It's insane. And if he's, I haven't talked to him much about the intricacies of it, but if he's trying to do like an MLG event, I'm assuming he's trying to do an open event.
Yeah.
Or like an open with like pool play, which would be amazing. But I think if we do one like retro like MLG event, let's let the coaches stand behind the players. I think people want to see it, man.
That would be fun.
People want to see Crowder up there behind the Tiny Terrors. Like he's. Did you see that picture of Crowder aura farming?
Yeah. That was good. I might have to start doing that. Me and David might have to start chilling in the back like that.
Chilling in the back, just like on your phone. Like, nah, it's all good. I coach these guys, but like
I think it would be cool for one event. I'm on the side where I think there is too much of a skill gap for decision making
Yeah.
that the players should be the only ones there. I think there is such an IQ, again, skill gap
Right.
of what to do and what not to do, that having someone call out for you, I feel like would just limit that. And I don't like limiting that if possible.
Yeah.
I do think something like timeouts or something in search or control or one of those round-based game modes, like having just one timeout that you can use in the map would be really cool. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to watch Codcaster in that point. We would just have to watch like their point of views.
Right.
But I think, in my opinion, at least inside the moment, that extra voice can contribute so much that, me personally, it shouldn't be allowed. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. It would just be like, I think there is a big skill gap in Call of Duty for that type of thing.
Yeah. And obviously, Halo coaching is a lot different because there's power weapons and there's different things that are like there's overshields and different things that are spawning up on the wall. So somebody's got to keep track of all that while the other players call out.
But even let's say you did remove it from the Halo, like the Halo scene. I wonder how it would play. Like would be the job of one person to be consistently tracking that, and that's like a hard thing to do, honestly, while you're playing.
Right.
But again, it creates this gap of like, okay, I can do that and play at the high level. Yeah. So I'm so much more valuable to my team than you might be who can't track that thing.
Like basically an IGL.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, it's not even an in-game leader. That's more of an in-game fucking tracker.
Yeah.
IGT.
I would assume it would be relying on the person who is like in-game leaning.
Right.
But
well, if you're trying to keep track of all of the power weapons, you can't also talk about how we're rotating the oddball. Like you can't
unless you're an insane player, unless you're insane
genius.
But again, so that would create. I don't want to say like create roles, but it would create this opportunity for players that might not be as good, but they can track completely well. So like, do you take the chance on that guy because he has such good communication skills? Yeah. But like a little bit less gun skill, but he's gonna be like literally IGLing for your team as if a coach were. You know what I mean? It creates this cool little thing of like maybe some players are more valuable now because of their abilities outside the game.
Yeah. I mean, no, you're completely right. I mean, but who knows? Yeah. I just like there's an old school element of me that just kind of likes the dude the dude. It's like a four guys playing each other, and then there's two guys standing up, and you're like, what are these two guys? And usually it's Hilton in a fucking gigantic suit, but but still, I think there's something.
But hey, if there's anything to actually have some sort of impact mid game, I think Damon would be jumping at that opportunity because I think it stresses me out. I think it stresses him out even more than like playing, and I see that from hear that from a lot of coaches. Like I know I was talking to Cap, and he's like, it is so much harder
to
coach than to play. Like in terms of stress levels and anxiousness before games and stuff.
I wonder if any of these guys that have won a lot, like Crowder, Cap, Ray, Damon, those guys won a lot. I wonder if any of them enjoy coaching more than playing. I would assume
no. Yeah.
Maybe Ray.
Maybe. I know Damon, I think, always saw his improvements and achievements in playing a little bit more, but I don't know. I would be interested to see what their take on it. I would assume it's playing. I don't think anyone. Maybe. I mean, there could be the one.
Zen says it all the time. There's just nothing more fun than playing because there were not rumors, but there were little thoughts in the wind whenever all this team change stuff was going on. That Seth got a lot of texts, and Zen was just like, "This guy's an idiot." Like I would do anything to play again. I would do anything. Yeah. But then again, Seth had 30,000 viewers watching you guys scrim. Yeah. So, so it's a little different. I heard that you. First of all, do you want any hot coffee? I don't have any. Oh no, you're cold brew. Okay.
I'm more a cold brew and ice cold coffee. I'm not a big hot coffee guy.
What was I about to say? Oh, I heard from a couple people that you built a program that helps with scrims.
Yeah, I mean, so I built a few programs, but a lot of it are VOD based.
Okay.
And a lot of it just basically use all of the matches, all of the scrims that we have, and it uses like the stats stuff as well, but it combines it all into one thing where you can basically just watch whatever you want, and you could watch specific situations, you can watch specific rounds super seamlessly. It's not a secret anymore. I think I built it a while ago, back in like 2021 or something. That's when I first figured out the idea.
Okay.
But it's just a really interesting tool for us to just easily figure out things that might be going wrong and things that we could improve based on watching other teams' VODs. I think VOD research is such a big thing. Like going into coaching, I always thought it was like, okay, it's going to be stats based stuff, but there's so much to like VOD stuff that you need to combine the two. Like the best way, the most efficient way, I always tell this to people that are aspiring to be like analysts or transition to coaching, is like, learn how to program, learn how to code, work with data, but you're also going to have that experience of, seeing what is good and what's not good in the game, and using that as a combination to both like VOD and stats or data or whatever.
Yeah. So
you can accurately present something or give something to the team that's usable. If it's not, in my opinion, if it's not able to be completely understood and shown to the players, it has no benefit at all.
Right.
If I show Brandon like a spreadsheet, like he's not going to take anything away from that. But if you turn it into a colorful bar graph, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, or if you
give him a coloring book and some crayons.
Or if you say like our P2s are going wrong, why are P2s going wrong?
Right.
If you say a P2 is going wrong, that has no meaning.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, sure, our P2s are going wrong. Okay, what are we going to do about it?
Right.
But if you see back to back to back to back, okay, we're just not holding the back. They're just spawning here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's accurate ways and more efficient ways to do VOD than just being like, oh, we're really getting soaked on those P2s by the other team. You have to take it further and deeper into that. And that's kind of what I was trying to do with that program thing, and still use it today because it's so easy for us.
So you're going to law school, you're working on stats. When the hell did you learn to code and program?
It was that year. So I started taking computer science courses, like just a couple, like my junior, senior year.
Right.
I would say a lot of it was just all self-taught though, during that 1 year transition from graduating to being, full-time coaching analyst, whatever. During that 1 year, it was all just full-on YouTube coding courses, just seeing what I can do extra. What further could I learn to help out and create something? And I didn't even have the idea for that type of VOD thing, but I had the idea of other type of things to showcase, via like a dashboard or something that we could actively use to show players, or me to show another coach what's going wrong, or like put that data into use. So during that 1 year was just a power full course of
holy shit
of all that type of stuff. And honestly, you're constantly learning, because the more stuff that you do with that, the more you understand it, the more things you learn. And I've always said that if anyone wants to get into coding or programming, find some type of passion project. It could be Smash. You could do some type of data with Smash, or work on creating data for Smash, and just do, or literally it could be like pick rates in Smash by pro players, something like that.
Yeah.
Create something, and if you just spend time in your off time, if you're working full time, or if you're doing under school, just spend time work on it, and you're just constantly going to keep building blocks and blocks of information and new ideas, new ways to improve what you're doing. And at a certain point, you're going to have a full-fledged like little program thing.
Yeah.
And if you want to showcase that on social media, nowadays it's so easy. You post on Reddit, you post on Twitter, you never know who's going to see it.
Right.
So you never know, could this turn into some type of opportunity? Could this turn into some type of career?
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to go about it. Just be passionate about one specific project and completely just go ham on it.
If you guys are enjoying this episode, please go check out the Patreon. We do continue to talk more. We have an extension of an extended cut of this conversation. And I believe this is when we're talking about the program that he built to watch scrims, to keep up with stats and stuff, and where he thinks the future is headed when it comes to like programs to help practice in esports and AI and ChatGPT. Like, he talks about a lot of really smart stuff. I was kind of infatuated the whole time with what he was saying. So please go check it out. It's really awesome. If not, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode, and I hope we'll see you in the next one. So thank you guys so much for watching, and peace.